Hey Internet, it's Tonight's the Drunk Watch. We're back for our talk back for episode 2 of season 2, the Frankel Footage of the Umbrella Academy. I'm Andrew, and I'm here with Kate and Thomas.
Hello.
Travis.
Hello.
Zach.
Hi, everybody.
And Adi.
Hey, everybody. If this is your first time on this wild carnival ride, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notifications bell so that you can be notified every time that we put one of these videos up. Also, if you feel so inclined, please donate $1 to our Patreon. It helps keep us going in these difficult times. Other than that, I'm Adi.
All right, we're the Knights of the Drunk Watch, and now our talk begins.
No talk back.
Okay, I have the nuggets this time. So, some of these you may have nothing to say about, but I wrote them down. Number 1, Addison is back and on The Apprentice. You're fired.
The handler.
Oh.
Yeah.
What is her name? Do we know a name for her?
The handler.
Just the handler?
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, Jesus Christ, Zach, you've got nothing against audience conspiracy.
Even when she got demoted, they called her the handler. They said, show the handler her new desk.
Okay. So she's, I guess, demoted / fired, but there was no resolution to that.
Her rehabilitation completely got rid of the scar on her cheek, but then now she's wearing a hat.
No, she still had a bit of a scar on her cheek.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it was covered with makeup and stuff.
She had like her hair curled.
I wanted them to drop down and give us more cha-cha. I mean, I know it's coming. We'll get a cha-cha or a Hazel-centric episode. Thank you. But
yes.
I hope so.
It was neat to see the handler bounce back with her new boss and all. But yeah, I'm ready for Hazel. Bring him on.
Yeah, her new boss Phil, or whatever his name is.
Goldie.
Herb the goldfish.
Herb. Yeah. Herb's the short guy, but her boss, Mr.
larger
Coy.
than Herb.
If there was a website.
Okay, so next we have the No Thanks reunion tour, where
part 2.
Part 2, the sequel, where 5 just goes around to everybody and is like, "Hey, you want to help me stop the apocalypse?"
High five.
Everybody's like, "Nah." Okay, we have.
I mean, for what it's worth, the first reunion tour wasn't really successful. So, but you know, they separated them all. They've got to get them back together. You know, so.
But also, like, is Luther just content to spend the rest of his day as a bodyguard? Like,
Luther's an asshole. That's all that, you know. I mean,
one's later.
If he had behaved differently, they may have averted the 2019 apocalypse. So, you know, and then he was
apocalypse number 2.
Just the 2019 apocalypse, and he was on the edge of fucking it up again because he thinks that Vanya is some big bad uncontrollable thing.
I think Luther's a very like black and white person where he doesn't see any of the middle ground that makes things complex. It's either good or bad. And so he's decided, like, oh, Vanya's bad, only bad. We have to kill her. He's
lawful good. He doesn't see anything else.
Yeah, that's boring. That's stupid.
I think he's much more complex than that. I think he's hurting deep down inside.
Yeah, I mean,
he just doesn't know how to show it because, well, I mean, he's got a big, scary wolfman body.
But that scene that we had with him and Vanya was necessary for him to resolve his feelings over what happened. We couldn't just ignore it. You know, we had to see something. It's called story. It's called character growth. Some of you are writers. It was his total.
Grow different, Andrew. Grow different.
Yeah, no, like that. Not all character growth is well done.
Well, I mean, it was his total yes, as Andrew said. You know, it's like, I'm sorry, Anya, but then again, at the same time, pay attention to what I say and not what I do.
I feel like this show is giving us a lot of, and we experience this, I think, a lot with American Horror Story as well, because we want to give it so much credit. So we're giving a lot of things the, well, let's see what happens next treatment. of like, okay, well, they've done 2 episodes of reunions, but maybe next episode they'll get to more action. And Luther's fucked up a couple times, but maybe this is the point where he's going to grow. And if they don't ever do it, it's just bullshit.
You mean
Luther is the
keeping you
Sansa.
hanging on?
Yes.
Luther is the Sansa of the Umbrella Academy.
I was just thinking that.
I agree with Zach. Luther has had a tough time. He's in a lot of pain because he got laid. He had sex with some.
Yeah, that was me.
That was me. And then the world ended.
Zach
Like,
hates everybody in this.
A lot of guilt around.
Zach hates everybody on this show except for this next guy, Diego on the Run.
He's nice to look at.
I thought you were about to say like Diego on the rug, and then I was
no,
like,
on the run. He's on the run.
Okay.
Bearded Diego.
With I definitely like MIA as the nickname for Ritu Arya. I think that's a perfect example. But yeah, no, I definitely am more intrigued by her character than by Diego's character, actually, honestly. And I've seen Diego for an entire season.
I feel like the Diego storyline is the storyline of this season. I'm more interested in what's happening with Diego and when he meets up with Five and all that. I mean, that's the storyline, and it's interesting.
And that's kind of, I feel like that's frustrating because like Diego was such just an angry little man-child in the last season. So if we're following him, I'm not interested.
No, but Diego is trapped in an episode of The Twilight Zone. He goes back to the past. He knows the future, or at least he thinks he does. He tries to stop the presidential assassination, and he gets locked up in a mental hospital because nobody believes him.
But I wonder if it's also because he was dropped so close to it.
You mean the same alley that everybody else was in?
No,
like time-wise.
Time-wise. Okay, sorry. Yes, that makes sense.
What, like 2 months ahead of it? And so if you're dropped in 60, then it's harder to stay dedicated to keeping him from dying in 3 years than if you're dropped 2 months from the.
And the most undedicated person was dropped in 1960.
Yeah.
I mean, Klaus wasn't going to wait for nothing. He was just like, I'm over it.
He was dropped in the time of birth and understanding and cultural expounding brilliance.
No, just a lot of drugs, my man.
Yeah.
Which was
but Klaus is clean. Klaus is clean.
Actually, if you
that's true.
This kind of does bring us up to something that I kind of noticed. Like Klaus it seems he's kind of like, he's done with all everybody be all free love and whatnot, blah blah blah. He's very much kind of like, how about you sit in my seat and meditate where I was and tell me how great it fucking was.
I'm also beginning to think that Klaus maybe had an idea of where he needed to be when, because he's coming back to Dallas on his own. So he did his thing, he lived his life because he knew that 1963 he had to be back in Dallas.
I'm sure that's the drugs wearing off and him realizing, wait, what happened in 63 in Dallas?
I don't know.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's not coming back to Dallas by mistake. He made the choice to go back to Dallas.
Yeah.
All right. Our next talking point is in large, bold letters, and it says, use your fucking powers.
I feel like this one is particularly involved and directed towards one of the family members.
Oh, and then this ties into another question for Allison. Is does her husband know? Because when she starts and doesn't get it out before the cop pulls a gun on her, but then she says, I had a rumor, or I heard a rumor again, and that stops him. But as that clearly stops him, her husband goes by and says it's not worth it. So I wonder, does he know that she has the powers and doesn't want to use them and it's not worth it? Or is he referring more to just her fighting back?
I feel like we saw him ask her later when she was visiting him. He asked, why did you say that? So I think Allison is keeping a secret from her husband, especially about her powers.
The way I wrote it was, does Allison's husband know about her non-existent powers? Because currently they are non-fucking existent.
But let's remember, I mean, if Allison was dropped in 1961?
Something like that.
Yeah, she's 61. Luther was 62.
Yeah.
the last few times she used her powers, things didn't turn out so well for her. She used them against her daughter, and not just once to get her to go back to bed. She started relying on her powers to control her child. And then she went to use them against Vanya, and Vanya slit her throat. So, now
but
Vanya,
I also
An opportunity.
and so I think
She has shitty powers. She has to say 5 words before they do anything.
That.
but I think she doesn't want to use her powers because she can fuck it up if she uses her powers wrong.
Right,
Yeah.
but from a story point of view, you are putting this character exactly where she was at the beginning of season 1, with slightly different circumstances around her. It's like she has progressed not at all since then. Even then, she was like, I don't really want to use my powers because I did it on my daughter, and shit turned out bad.
Well, except for she's got a chance to start her life over again and not fuck it up. That's the life she's living.
It's just repetitive. Like, I want to see her doing other things. So I'm hoping she will use her powers.
We're
but
2 episodes in, so if she's still making breakfast and planning sit-ins at episode 10, we'll talk.
I'm gonna make a prediction right here, right now. I think they all died in the apocalypse, and this is purgatory.
They have to go back to the island.
Do I need to go back to my Jello shot?
Well, in which case, can I talk about my little theory I thought of today?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so the 2019 apocalypse.
Oh, wait. For this, I wrote, no, Andrew.
Okay, no. She did say when we were watching, you have the very last thing, the last particle.
Zach brought it up. So we have the 2019 apocalypse. What if?
On note where we are, Audie.
What if based on what the company is behind in season 1, the 2019 apocalypse. 2019 is when the apocalypse is supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. So my theory is the 1963 apocalypse isn't supposed to happen, and the Swedes, because the Swedes show up and they target
Vanya,
the Umbrella Academy. That's Vanya. They target the first person they go after is 5. Then they go after Diego. Then they go after Allison. I think they're there to, and the thing that they don't know is that the Swedes are actually there to stop the Umbrella Academy from causing an apocalypse in 1963 because it's supposed to happen in 2019.
Gotcha.
No matter what causes it, whether it's Vanya 1, Vanya 2, a moon, whatever, 2019 is when the apocalypse is supposed to happen.
Well, have the Swedes attacked Allison yet?
They went to her house, and then they didn't go in because the cops were there.
It'd be interesting to find out what the handler's been assigned now that she's been demoted, because just like 5, she gets put in charge of one event in the timeline and preserving it and keeping it the way it should go. Just like 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, and her what was supposed to happen, and what I guess still happened, is the 2019 apocalypse was supposed to happen. And it still did. But they escaped it, and now because they might accidentally prevent JFK from getting shot, they're going to cause a nuclear apocalypse that's not supposed to happen.
So it's like Magic School Bus. It's Magic School Bus with magic powers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. That's very possible.
Yeah, it fits. It works. It's definitely a plausible puzzle piece.
Both boys who just suggested something. Jello shot wagers?
Oh yeah, we'll do 10.
Twisting.
I'll do 10. Let's do 20. Why not?
Who cares? No one's crawling anywhere.
Yeah. You know what? We won't make them any like fruit flavors or anything. We'll make them NyQuil flavored.
Done it for 2 weeks.
I don't know. I don't understand this next note, so I don't know if it
Read it out loud.
It says, Andrew, they're drinking loud milk.
No, that
bad milk. Bad milk.
It says loud.
Bad milk. It was like this weird alien goo kind of milk.
No, they're in a milk truck. It was probably just fucking bad milk.
I feel like they added something to it.
It
something
looks sparkly.
Edible glitter is the rage now. So
it was crushed up vampires in water.
It's probably their time traveler protein.
Yep, their protein shake.
Yeah.
Five trying to get people to stop the goddamn apocalypse. And the next note is everyone to 5. No thanks.
Well, you do have to admit, like when it comes to the 5 whole trying to stop the apocalypse, like the one interaction that he had with Luther, which Luther still came at, like Luther had the better point, and he still came out the loser of the conversation because he's Luther. I mean, I'm sorry, but all 5 seems to do is just simply show up and say, "Hey, the end of the world's happening in a few days. I need your help," and it's kind of like, yeah, dude, that's kind of your bag, and I'm just not on board with it anymore.
No, honestly, by this point, even I would be like, you know what? Go fuck yourself. I've heard this shit for the last I don't know how long. Like, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, like I've heard this shit for the last week. God, I'm totally pissed off.
To 2 people, and one of them said, "Yeah, let's find Dad." Diego's on board. It isn't a parade.
I mean, he wasn't originally. He had to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Originally,
I mean, he had to blackmail
Diego.
In this timeline?
Yeah,
first because remember they were in the back seat and he tries to get the cops
in the psych ward, and Diego's like, "Screw off," and he said, "Fine, you're staying here." And then when he
was on board,
because he saw, But I mean, I think 5 is going to realize halfway through the season that he's not trying to stop the apocalypse. He's trying to prevent Kennedy from being saved.
Okay.
You just muted real quick, Kate.
Oh, I know.
Okay, cool.
I was yelling at Trixie.
Oh, all right.
My next note just says racism.
Yeah.
Who needs it?
Like that probably had to do with the cops jumping
America's
in to, just randomly do a no warrant, house search of some black citizens.
Yeah, you can go back to Audie's note. What was the note, Audie?
Racism.
Racism. Yep.
Okay.
But they were there to going into the house wasn't illegal. The arrest was bullshit. I mean,
going into the house without a warrant wasn't illegal.
No, they were there to arrest a guy. They were there to arrest a guy. So.
My next note.
Okay.
Is Daddy's back.
Daddy is back. So
for a minute, we'll see if that lasts.
Well, no, because we first see him in the
image. This is still in the Frankel footage.
Yeah, this is still in the footage.
And that film would have burned through before they finished looking at that image. That was
film technology, Andrew.
Well, I don't know. I'm older than
the
all
film
y'all,
couldn't have
and
been
I
reversed
remember
once?
that happening in our school when we watched movies.
What, like the
try
film
to pause on the nudity and
if the film stops, the heat from the lamp will burn through the celluloid.
Oh, I
you
see
have
what
to
you're saying.
turn off
Okay.
the light.
Okay.
So we'll talk a little more about that in a minute. My next note is what the fuck Swedes with 9 question marks behind it. What's up with these Swedes? Why are they throwing knives at each other?
They're this season's Hansel and Cha-Cha.
Killing crazy cat ladies.
I still go with they're freelancers.
They're albinos, yeah.
Hazel and Cha-Cha were part of the system.
The commission.
These people are who they call when they can't get their agents to get the shit done. 5 didn't do it. Cha-Cha and Hazel fucked up, so they have to go outside the company to get freelance assassins.
Outsourced.
I think it's that because they're a little too crazy.
That is.
I agree.
True
I agree
American
with Zach.
Capitalism.
I agree with Zach that they're like trying to make some kind of interesting and unique character like Cha-Cha and Hazel were, and we're just getting weirdness, like
they're clowns.
Just clowny weirdness.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I'm hoping.
One guy just sucks at throwing knives.
It seems like shenanigans because I feel like when Hazel, I mean, I guess if they fucked up, they had to get a new target, but I feel like they would get another thing to be like, no, seriously, if I can kill 5, kill 5. Like, you didn't kill him, still kill him. But they went after 5, didn't get it done. Then they were told to go after Diego, didn't kill him, so they were sent Vanya. Why do they keep getting
No,
new
they
person.
went after
you're
Allison
right.
too. Don't forget about Allison. Everyone forgets
Yeah.
Allison.
Did they go after her?
Yeah, they were there when her husband got arrested, so they didn't go in.
Oh. Well, but they keep failing at their mission, but getting new missions, which seems weird.
That's what happened to Hazel and Cha-Cha.
No, they got the mission of someone else.
We don't know enough, let's say.
Well, we do know that they're little intertemporal, bank suction tube things. They just pop out of nowhere, so we do know that.
I don't feel like they're menacing enough.
Agreed. At least
They're
not yet.
blonde and weird.
And they killed a crazy cat lady.
Well, but
Yeah.
honestly, we also miss the rapport of Hazel and Cha-Cha because these guys don't have rapport.
Yeah.
They're just
They don't have
stalker-
lines. What are you talking about?
They're
Yeah,
just-
they're
yeah.
just this
Mary
stalker
J.
trio.
Blige, like, I miss a Hazel and Cha-Cha, you know?
And they're not even doing they're not giving me Three Stooges. They're not giving me. If you're gonna be clowns, be a clown.
They gave you two stooge with the knife thing, I think.
I guess.
That was bad. Come on, that was not good. The next note we already covered, which is why is Luther an asshole?
Gorilla testosterone.
It's because he's got lots of feelings.
Yeah.
Gorilla
My
feelings.
I don't know who had me write this down, but my next note is pockets question mark.
Yeah.
That was all about Kate, I thought.
No, Zach.
Oh, was that Zach?
Pocket.
Well, there was like 5 references to pockets this episode.
Five found the Frankel footage in his front pocket.
The pocket tore.
Luther was pocketing a pistol to kill Vanya with.
He
And
put the wall in his pocket.
yeah, there was
no,
some.
I think it was literally just we made some dick joke about Luther and said pocket, so Zach wanted us to write it down.
Yeah.
No, he's right. There was a lot of pockets in this episode.
Well, but also I want to go back because I don't think anyone heard me. The well, I think the strip club is going to become a central location because
Okay.
there was a billboard for the strip club where Klaus's car broke down.
Oh, I did hear you, but I didn't.
Okay.
Because Stella, whatever, the star of the strip club, there was a billboard for
Also-
Stella.
Well, so
Stella.
somebody said it last
Stella.
week that Luther is settled into his pseudo mafia thing, and you find out now this episode he's working for Jack Ruby, who, if you know anything about the Kennedy assassination, was
Oh, I totally missed
had
that.
a lot to do with much ado about something.
He killed
Oh, I
him.
totally
Well, he
missed
killed
that.
Oswald.
Oswald.
Well, no, spoiler alert, but yes. So we know Luther
You
is
can't
going to be
spoil
very much.
history.
You can for a lot of people.
You can for
Just
Trump.
spoiled it for me.
I just had a thought that makes Luther a little bit less shitty in my mind, is that this is the first time where he's been able to go out and live a life that is purely his own. Like he is
That's true.
his life, he is the only one who stayed with Dad. He has been in the Umbrella Academy
On the moon.
and he's been there on the moon. His whole life has been dictated and bullshit for so long that he has spent a year making do on his own and doing well. And so, like, why would he want to leave the only time where he has felt like successful for
And free.
I
And
think
free.
his
free?
year as well living on Earth has probably helped tone down some of his big bulkiness.
Yeah, because also if you're on the no, that doesn't make sense.
You're saying he bulked up on the moon,
Yeah.
and now that he's
I'm
on
saying
Earth,
he bulked up and then he went out onto the moon, and now gravity's had a little bit more time. hmm
Maybe Luther's just getting laid more often now in the 60s, and he's not all
Yeah,
back
seriously.
up, built up.
He's just cutting back on the steroids.
Yeah, I mean, he's just letting some splooge out.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay.
Okay.
That's dangerous.
Our next note, leaving it on that, is an opinion piece. Amnesia, yay or nay?
We were thinking nay last time. I think she has. I think part of the reason why she didn't go crazy with her powers when she landed was because, yeah, she was calmed down and then she got hit by a car. It's like the drugs. She needed to be on amnesia for a few months. But
I have a quick question because I do have like one thought about it, but I can't exactly remember how she ended the time, like before going into. She was unconscious, right? They had made
She was
her
unconscious when
How
they.
she was unconscious?
Luther
what?
was carrying her.
She probably just woke up.
No. How did she get unconscious? I'm asking. I forgot
She
about it.
released. She released the thing.
In the last episode, when Vanya fell into the past, her little thing, she was already rubbing her head. She stumbled into the street.
I'm not
she
asking
got,
about
No. Stop. She's asking.
No, I know what she's
Before.
asking about. She has a little bit of amnesia. And before, at the end of season 1, after she did her moonbreaker routine or whatever,
Yeah.
she passed out.
So she passed out. So I wonder if because she was like fully expended and knocked out, that she like came through with her passed out knowledge, which is nothing. Everyone else came through conscious, like they started and ended.
Didn't she come through with her creepy Vanya eyes
No.
and walked into the
No.
street and then get hit by?
No,
No.
that's what we saw. We saw that in the when they
She
were.
had creepy Vanya eyes when she was fighting the Russians.
But what
Yeah.
I'm thinking is the reason that she, and I'm arguing for amnesia now, is because she was the only one who was not conscious when she went through the rift, and so maybe that kind of wiped it a little bit.
No,
Well,
I-
and also she
Connect
ended this
to that.
episode with a dream, which is quintessential beginning to get her memory back, because she started she had a memory of Luther and the event, that woke her up, and she went and got the card, probably to find Luther, to find out what the hell she remembered.
Vanya's amnesia is real, and I say that only because of one reason, because everybody is back to their square one from season 1, which is Vanya in season 1 was, I don't have powers, I'm not special, and that's what Vanya is right now in season 2, all over again, different circumstances.
I don't agree.
Like you said,
I don't agree that everyone is to their, but it's Adi next.
I would.
Adi next.
it's
Zach.
a retread.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Go ahead.
I have a different theory. I think it's just disassociated personality syndrome. I think she's like a Bruce Banner, Hulk, Jean Grey, Phoenix kind of thing going on.
Is that, but it would have to be that the time warp had to have affected Vanya differently than the others, and I think it's because she's unconscious. So whether it split her in two and she hasn't tapped into badass Vanya yet,
Right.
Or that she just hasn't remembered.
How does the Hulk turn back into Bruce Banner?
What?
How does
He
the
calms
Hulk
down.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's nighttime. Look at the sun going down.
That's what I think. And then she just doesn't know she has a duality.
Scarlett Johansson.
Well, she did hit her head. So anyway, but Adi.
Well, I think if the writing is bad, then she has amnesia. And here's why. Because as Thomas says, it puts her instantaneously right back where she fucking was in season 1. I think it would be far more interesting story-wise if she actually didn't have amnesia, she's lying to everybody, and she is managing to control her powers. That, to me, as a reveal at the end of the season, like, I was controlling my powers this whole time, would be way more interesting.
Well, and of course, part of the reason
the same fucking plot line again.
You can argue that is lazy writing.
That's the worst Shyamalan twist I've ever heard.
Like, that's lazy writing, but just at the end of the season.
Right now, whatever is going on with her is lazy writing, because we're literally just doing what she did in the first season all over again, except this time it's with a woman instead of a dude.
I'll say two things. One, if that's lazy writing, get lazy, because it was a big hit of a comic book, clearly, because they made a Netflix series out of it. Two, it may put her back to where she was, but now, especially with the scene that she had with Luther, there's a potential that she could now grow back into her powers without being a psycho killer, because she'll have support from her siblings this time around.
Yes,
they know.
In the end, this should be about the academy itself, not the individual characters. And so the reason Vanya was so batshit crazy is because she had zero support. So if she can then gain her powers with the support of her family, then yeah, exactly. It would give her a completely different level of control, especially because they're all I mean, except for Allison, who seems to not get an upgrade. But I feel like they're all at the edge of an upgrade in their powers, you know? And she doesn't. She's bullshit.
No, sorry. It's just my mind immediately was kind of like, yeah, it's called racism.
That's racism. Audie, what was that point?
Racism. Hold on. Let me check it real quick.
Double check.
Yeah, racism. It's racism.
Yeah.
I heard a rumor nobody cares about her.
Okay, so now that that's done, the next little short bit is fake people is fake news. Bunch of fake people in the Umbrella Academy.
Oh, you're talking about when they break into, when they look up
Yeah.
the phone book and they go to his little front, which they believe.
They go to his Nevada fake town hotel.
Their dad started that they're breaking into?
It's
I guess he always has a business called DS
Umbrella.
Yeah.
Which apparently sold people like, I want to say Fallout or nuclear
It looked
apocalypse.
like, Fallout. I mean, and
stuff.
that
We
would
don't
be-
really know.
Oh my gosh, wait. What if it was a front for him training Pogo? What if Pogo was his original plan? What if he came back to the past and said, I'm going to create a chimpanzee that fights crime and saves the world? And he completely changes his mind because his kids from the future come back, confront him, and that's why he says, I'm giving up on Pogo saving the world. I'm going to go get all these kids that I met from the future in the past.
It makes
I am
Pogo a
excited.
butler? That's a
It
downgrade.
makes Pogo a butler.
I'm really excited to see a little more about Pogo and find out more about his history.
Right. He's a mean, angry sidekick monkey.
Yeah, but then at the same time, when Dad fights Diego and kicks Diego's ass, he simply kind of like looks at Pogo and is kind of like, snaps his fingers, and Pogo's like,
Yeah,
Kung
Pogo's
Fu
still in
fly
development.
down, like,
so.
He's not quite Amy from Congo levels, but he's definitely
Wearing a
above the
diaper.
blue
he knows
apes.
cum, at least.
He's definitely better than the blue apes.
Or whatever whistle. He didn't say come, he said
he knows
clapped
the
his hands,
whistle.
I thought.
there it is.
My final note for the evening is Stabby Daddy.
That was a good fight scene, choreographed with a great piece of music. I dig it. This shows.
It was good. It was good.
Doing a very good job. Always has.
With the music, yeah.
With the music, with a lot.
Yeah.
I kind of would be into, Zach, make your little faces. I think I would be into more information about the eccentric billionaire, because we keep just getting snippets of him being behind the scenes, but excuse me, he seems like such a dynamic, they're building him
He
up.
is the crux.
And they're building him up as an intriguing character more than any of the other fucking characters who have lines every show.
Yeah, he's more interesting than Allison.
Yep.
But I do have a theory on kind of what happened at the end, which is I think that was Reginald Hargreaves from, that Reginald Hargreaves didn't know who Diego was.
Right.
He obviously. So I don't know if he's the guy from the 80s, but he's definitely not time traveled from 2019 backwards.
Reginald calls and stabs all his Latino sons, amateurs.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, it's just before 1989. It's before Reginald ever experienced.
Really, I feel like he is just approaching anyone who is coming too close to his Pogo research or whatever he's doing. But I also could imagine that they could loop him in. I feel like he'd be Doc Brown, who would be like, what the fuck? And then they'd say oh no,
Great
you sent me
Scott.
here. And then he'd be like, oh, I could have done that. Yeah, I'm that shit that I could have done that.
I mean,
So-
I'm going to keep it simple in my mind right now and say that Hargreaves, his linear timeline is he was at an apocalypse, and we don't know if it was the 2019 one in his timeline or what. The number doesn't matter. He was at an apocalypse that we don't have a date on. It was a long time ago.
No, Andrew.
But if it's but if you
No,
Go ahead.
Go, Andrew.
if you just look at his storyline in a linear fashion, he goes from apocalypse a long time ago. He time travels to 1929 or 28, and now it's 1960. I think you just put him on a linear path. He was in a timeline that didn't include the Umbrella Academy. He went back to try to change time, and he's been moving forward. And
I mean, there's no way he went from 1929 to 1960 and still looks like that and can fight like that, though, linearly.
I think I mentioned it last week. I really think we're going to find out that Reginald is somehow connected to the commission and those.
Because that's a 40-year difference.
Assassins.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's definitely like in with the temporal assassins.
I think he could. And again, I feel like I'm just listening to a bunch of people who are working. I feel like he could be working outside of the temporal assassins. Like in their universe, maybe a former temporal assassin who is now working on his own mission, kind of like Five. So that would kind of make sense. But I wouldn't see them allowing all of the bullshit that Reginald has done.
And so I'll accept Adi that. I mean, he's time traveling. So we have Apocalypse Hargreaves, who's young. He time travels to 1928, starts the umbrella company or buys it. Then maybe he time travels. But he's still linear, traveling to 1963. He will eventually be the Hargreaves who travels to 1989 and adopts and buys the children. So this Hargreaves isn't the Hargreaves that died. He's all still before the 19.
I get that.
Supports or refutes what Andrew just said, but also Five traveled ahead, lived 50 years, turned into an old man, traveled back, and became 14 again. So.
Because he miscalculated something.
He miscalculated. Yeah. And we've also heard that Hargreaves has struggled with time. So we could absolutely have 1920s Hargrave is 40. 1960s Hargrave is also 40. Oops, he fucked up. Oh no. That could totally be.
What if Five is their dad?
I actually just thought that, but
drink your goddamn beverage.
Yeah, you need to drink, and Audie, you shouldn't be drinking that much.
I think Luther, now that he's in the past, is going to have something to do with Pogo, becoming the Pogo we knew from season 1. I don't know, because it's fun.
Okay.
Well, and also because he's been injected with stuff, and I'm guessing that Pogo's going to be injected
Pogo
with
did
stuff.
say his blood was closer to Luther's blood was closer to his now than when they needed a transfusion.
Luther's gorillaism is probably going to be connected to Pogo in some weird roundabout.
I mean,
snake eating its own tail,
like King Kong kind of way.
The reason that Pogo becomes a butler and not angry neck biting person, scratching.
Yeah, maybe. I think we've laid this episode to rest. Yeah.
I hope so.
All right. Okay, so I guess that's
a lot of talking about, not a lot of stuff that happened.
All right, we'll be back next week to watch and talk about episode 3. We are the Knights of the Drunk Watch, and now our talk has ended.
That was like the best one we've done yet.